What I want to start with in this episode of the Gears Cast is going to start off with the Gears of War collection and why it should exist. So let's talk about that. Why should the Gears of War collection exist? Well, I could probably go on a rant for a while here, guys, about the Gears of War collection and why that it should absolutely exist, in terms of being a title that we all get to enjoy and appreciate for what it is, and a remaster of some of our favorite games of all time. That being, of course, Gears 1, 2, 3, as well as Gears Judgment, even though Gears of War Judgment, obviously, I believe, was the dark ages of Gears of War. But that being said, it's, even though Gears Judgment was, in my personal opinion, the dark ages of Gears of War, I still would love to have it as a part of the Gears of War collection. The Gears of War collection would be a great title in terms of bridging the gap between Gears 5 to Gears 6. Obviously, there's a lot of rumor, speculation, talk that Gears 6 isn't going to be coming out, at least for the next few years. Most likely, it'll come out in 2024 or 2025, potentially even 2026. Obviously, the Coalition is hard at work on the next iteration of Gears of War. It sounds like they're also relatively busy and working on their own IP altogether. They're like a new IP. They're also helping out with the Perfect Dark reboot. So the Coalition's got their hands in a multitude of areas. But Gears of War obviously has got to be number one for the Coalition because, well, they're called at Coalition Gears, right? This team was specifically put together for Gears of War. So they're obviously working on the next installment, most likely just taking their time, doing it right, making sure that the next iteration of Gears of War is one that we universally acclaim, one that, they want to give themselves as much opportunity to make a absolute smash hit out of Gear 6. But that being said, obviously, a lot of us in the community, we're wondering not only what is the future, is it Gears of War 6, Gear 6, or is it going to be something different like Gears of War Forever, or, Gears Infinite, kind of like Halo Infinite? What exactly is this thing going to be? But while we're waiting for it, the Gears of War collection, one big reason why it should exist is because it can bridge the gap between Gears 5 to Gears 6. So what I'm getting at is the Gears of War collection, I was anticipating it was going to come out. If it comes out, I thought it was going to come out in this year, here in 2022. Lots of rumor, speculation that it was going to come out this year. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. But I think that there's a very good opportunity and possibility that the Gears of War collection could be coming out in 2023. So if it's coming at all. If it doesn't come out in 2023, I don't think that the Gears of War collection is happening, guys, if we don't get an announcement next year for it. Unless it's something that's a very, down the road, something that the Coalition or just Microsoft wants to do. So the Gears of War collection, if it comes out at all, I believe it's going to come out in 2023. And I believe it should come out in 2023 to bridge the gap for all of us to Gears 6, or the Gears of War 6, or whatever the next installment in the Gears of War franchise is going to be. And the reason being is because obviously Gears 5, obviously the Coalition is no longer supporting the game. They've shut down Gears Esports, at least for the foreseeable future, until the next installment in the Gears of War, franchise. Gears of War's collection could definitely, like I said, not only bridge the gap between Gears 5 to Gears 6, but it could also, without question, give us, something to, play, something to kind of reminisce the past, so to speak, as we look forward to the future. There could be some esports tournaments. And I think that, the biggest thing to me, at least, is that the Coalition, there's a lot of rumors and speculation that they're not actually even working on the Gears of War collection whatsoever. There may be another development team working on the Gears of War collection. So let's talk about that for a minute. Another reason why the Gears of War collection should exist is because maybe, just maybe, the Coalition, is all hands on deck with Gear 6, the next installment in the Gears of War franchise. They maybe have a small team working on their new IP altogether. They got a small team working on the Perfect Dark reboot. But if there's another development team working on the Gears of War collection, it's just a remaster, right? So obviously, really, I feel a lot of development teams would be capable of creating the Gears of War collection. The one that comes to my mind at the top of my list would be People Can Fly. They were the ones who helped out, of course, with Gears of War Judgment, which obviously I believe was the worst Gears title ever made. But they've learned, I'm sure, some of the mistakes and things of that nature from Gears of War Judgment. I also think that Outriders is a title that they're working on right now. I feel that there's a good opportunity there that, a lot of people like Outriders, has some similarities to Gears of War. They could definitely, obviously, just a remaster. I would trust People Can Fly to do a remaster of Gears 1, 2, 3, as well as Gears of War Judgment. Part of me feels that Gears of War 1 doesn't even need to be a part of the collection. I think it should, but part of me feels like it doesn't need to because of Ultimate Edition, which was, Gears of War 1 remaster. That being said, though, People Can Fly, I believe, are very capable of doing the Gears of War collection, as well as Epic Games, right? I mean, I don't think Epic Games would do it because obviously they're all hands on deck with Fortnite and the future of that, and that's an absolute juggernaut for them. They transcended gaming with Fortnite. They really did. And it's awesome to think that they had, their handprints all over Gears of War in the beginning. And so could they have a team working on the Gears of War collection? I think it's possible. Most likely it's not happening with Epic Games, but those would be the top two in my opinion. But I think there's a lot of development teams that could work on the Gears of War collection. Even if you had a team like Undead Labs, obviously they're working on State of Decay 3, which is, a horror title, right? But they would still, third person, all of those things. I think that there's a possibility that just being a remaster, I think there's other development teams that Microsoft owns that could do the Gears of War collection and could stay true to what we as fans are expecting. That way, the Coalition doesn't have to worry about the collection. They can focus all hands on deck on Gear 6, the future of the franchise. Part of me is a little bit bothered or a little bit, obviously there's talk that they're working on a new IP altogether, that being the Coalition. And though I'm totally down for them to work on their own IP, as well as helping out with the Perfect Dark reboot, I really want the Coalition to be all hands on deck with Gear 6. Like, they should be solely focused on that right now. And after Gear 6 comes out, I'm totally down for them to be working on their own IP as well as the, helping out with other projects. I just think that they should be all hands on deck with the future of Gears of War. And maybe they are, but from the reports and things of that nature, they are working on their own IP. I don't know how intense that is, how many people they have working on it. I don't know how many people they have working on the Perfect Dark reboot. But those are reports that are coming out that are saying that that's what they are doing. So with that being said, guys, those are a couple of the major reasons why I think the Gears of War collection, though, should exist. I mean, the biggest one, obviously, guys, is so that we have content while we're waiting for the next iteration of Gears of War. That's first and foremost. And the Gears of War collection should exist because obviously the Halo, the Master Chief collection exists, right? And that was a smash success for Halo as a franchise while they were, waiting for, whatever that next iteration was going to be of Halo. And of course they got, future entries and such in the Halo universe. But it definitely just is something that because it exists, that being the Master Chief collection, it's just very good as far as from a legacy perspective for Halo. And I think the same could be said for Gears of War. There was reports that were coming out saying, hey, like it should be maybe a Fable, collection or a Forza collection. And you know what? I'm totally down for them doing a Forza collection and a Fable collection. But Gears of War definitely needs, when we're talking one of the most popular and best-selling games all time for Microsoft and Xbox, and we are talking, in my mind, the third-person shooter of our time, that being Gears of War. I mean, you could argue Fortnite has obviously kind of taken that title because of just its sheer popularity, and I think Fortnite in a lot of ways transcended gaming, which is awesome. And like I said, Epic Games creating, Gears of War, it's kind of awesome to think that they had their stamp on Gears of War. I wish Gears of War could have been that larger than life kind of title like Fortnite. But obviously it's a different game, right? It's not for everybody. It's a very mature game, whereas, Fortnite is more kid-friendly, things of that nature. But they really put their, the free-to-play mantra around Fortnite and such. And so I think that there's a lot of things that the Coalition can kind of take from that moving forward. But the Gears of War collection, guys, I want to hear from all of you. Should the Gears of War collection exist? Should it be a title that comes out in 2023 to bridge the gap for us between Gears 5 to Gears 6 and the future of Gears of War? And should it just exist for from a legacy perspective? Something that, a lot of people want it to be the Marcus Phoenix collection. I want it to be the Gears of War collection. I want it to be, Gears, it could be Gears 1, 2, 3 and Judgment, but if you were to say, obviously with the Ultimate Edition, I really would like it just to be Gears 2, 3, and Gears of War Judgment, because we already have Ultimate Edition. Have those ones remastered. That would be, preferable in my mind at least. But nonetheless, I think it definitely needs to exist. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Gears of War collection content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.